Welcome back to the latest installment of Grilling with RVH, coming to you live from the sun porch here in the house of RVH. You can see all the boxes and junk back here. We're eventually going to move at some point in time. I have no idea when, but that explains all of that. But I want to take a few minutes this afternoon, or this morning, or this evening, whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching it from, to give you a little bit of insight into what I personally use, some of the tools, some of the barbecuing implements, etc. that I use. The first thing I want to talk about is not, now let me back up for a moment. A lot of this stuff isn't specific barbecuing, but it will help you make good food and come up with some good things to cook. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Instapot. Let's give you a shot of the Instapot. So the Instapot, I like the Instapot because it has the ability to take to quickly cook food, and it does it and makes it very good. For example, I did a Mississippi style pot roast not too long ago, and I smoked it for about 3 or 4 hours on the smoker, and then put it in the Instapot and finished it off for like 50 minutes with some seasons. You can watch that video on the YouTube channel if you want to. But hey, and by the way, like and subscribe. That button, I think it's over here somewhere. Like and subscribe, and you can watch that. But it did just a phenomenal job of making that Mississippi pot roast. The other thing I like to use the Instapot for is baked potatoes. I will tell you this, if you put your potatoes in here, 12 minutes on high pressure, let it cook 12 minutes on high pressure, let it natural release for 10 minutes, and then release it the rest of the way manually. I'm telling you, the best baked potatoes you will ever have. I'm telling you, they're soft, they're good, and they're incredible. One of these days, I'm going to take this and I'm going to smoke some potatoes on the smoker for about an hour, and then put them in here to finish them off at 5 to 10 minutes. But I'll do a video on that if I ever do that. But so that's number one. That's the Instapot. Now the next thing I want to talk about for a moment is a dehydrator, and I actually own 2 dehydrators. One of them is this LEM model right here. LEM, you can see it right there. I bought this at Academy. It's a 5 tray dehydrator. Now I will say this, it's very small. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is very, 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 very small. And so it's the capacity that it can have is very limited, but it will dry whatever you want to dry between, I think it's 90 and 155 or 160. I typically, when I do jerky, I'll smoke it on the smoker for an hour or two. And if I don't want to leave it on the smoker too long, I'll come in here, I'll set it on the dehydrator, time it for like 3 or 4 hours to finish it off, and it comes out real good. That way it gets that smoke flavor on there, but it also doesn't mean I have to sit there and manage it for the whole cook. I can just set it. I also, and I'll show you some footage here as we go, I also have a open country 5 tray dehydrator. It's this circular one that you can see right here in front of you. It is an absolutely outstanding jerky dehydrator as well. We have dehydrated fruit in it before, but mostly, like I say, I use it for jerky. So it's a pretty good setup there. So those are the first 3 things that aren't maybe necessarily barbecue related, but they are related to making good food and good products. So your mileage may vary. I like them. I'd suggest you get them. Now, Cabela's has some really good prosumer, if I can use that term, dehydrators. They have some good consumer ones as well as some professional grade, restaurant grade, commercial grade. That's the word I'm looking for. Commercial grade dehydrators. But they have some good ones for if you're just doing jerky for yourself or a few friends. They have some good ones there at Cabela's. I encourage you to check them out. No, they paid me Zippo for this video, but I do like their brand of dehydrators. The next thing I want to talk about is knives. Everybody needs a good cutting knife. I have to be careful with this one. This one is extremely sharp. This one was made by a friend of mine. I mentioned him in a lot of videos. as well as in a lot of my posts on Facebook. This is made by a friend of mine named Jeremy Allen over in East Texas. I'll let him give his exact location if he wants to. But this knife is the best knife for carving, cutting, slicing I've ever had. I've actually spatchcocked a chicken, butterflied a chicken, whatever term you prefer, with this knife. So you need a good quality, great quality knife, and I'm thankful to Jeremy for making this for me. You can contact him, find him on Facebook, find him on barbecue groups, contact me. I'll give you his information if you want. But yeah, contact him, and he'll make you a good knife, good price. I'm not going to tell you what he charged me, because I don't know what he charges normally, but he did give me a good price on this knife. He didn't give it to me. I actually paid for it. He did cut me a good deal, and it's been worth every penny. Had it over a year, I believe, and it's been worth every single penny I paid for it. So, Jeremy Allen. The next thing I want to talk about is this, I guess, whole chicken smoker from Char Broil. It is a nice item. It does have a metal cup that fits right down here in this circular depression, and basically it's like doing beer can chicken or Dr. Pepper can chicken or Coke can chicken, whatever liquid you want. You put the cup there, or the can if you want to. The cup happens to fit perfectly. Fill it with liquid, stick the chicken over the top of it. But yeah, I highly encourage you to get one of these. It just helps stabilize the can that the chicken fits over. All right, the next thing is for things like high heat cooks. I don't use these much anymore, and I'll explain why here in a minute, but this is a grill grate. You can see it right there, it's a grill grate. Basically, it sits on the grill or of your pellet smoker, and it gives you a nice sear mark for when you do steaks or whatever. But basically it gets good sear marks on your steaks or whatever you want to put on here. Like I said, I don't use it much anymore because I have a Blackstone griddle now that I use most of the time to do sears. But yeah, I highly recommend, if you don't have a Blackstone griddle or a way to do sears, to sear something, say you have a pellet smoker and it doesn't get quite high enough, maybe 500, stick these on there, crank it to 500, and you'll get some good sear marks and a good sear on your steaks. All right. The next thing I recommend, and this is a cheap one, I have a decent one that's disassembled right now, and I didn't really feel like putting it together. This is actually a Tony Kacher's. You've seen that Cajun rub stuff, but this is an injector, basically to inject your pork shoulders, to inject your briskets if you do that, to inject turkeys, chickens. I inject just about every large cut of meat. Chickens, pork shoulders, briskets, chuck roast. When I do chuck roast, I'll typically inject those. Turkeys, turkey breasts. I just like the flavoring it gives. So highly recommend that you get you one of these injectors. If you're going to get serious about it, go online to either Amazon or one of those places and find you a nice high quality one that you can do high capacity. This one, you have to keep filling it up, injecting, fill it up, injecting. I've got one that I can do about a whole one side of a brisket with one fill up of the chamber. So look into getting one of those. You can use the cheap ones, but I recommend you find yourself a good one. Next thing, the ye old spritzing bottle. When I do this sometimes. Just recently, if you watch the pork shoulder cook that's coming up soon, or I think it's already up there, I actually spritzed that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. With pork shoulders, I like to spritz. Basically fill this with whatever liquid you like, apple juice, apple cider, water, whatever. Beef broth if you're doing a beef, like briskets or chuck roast. But yeah, you can fill it up with that, spritz it every 45 minutes to an hour, and it'll make it turn out good. Something else that I don't use a lot, but that I'm trying to get back to, is a basting brush. If you don't want to spritz, if you want to mop your ribs with a sauce, a mop, and one of these cast iron sauce buckets, I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, it'll do good. I have used this one, not in a while. It's been a while since I used that bad boy. But I do use it some, but for, like I said, basting. The thing with using this as opposed to a brush, if you use this, it won't necessarily take the rub off of your meat product that you have on the smoker. Brushes sometimes can brush that rub off. depending on how hard you apply the rub sauce or mop sauce to the cut of meat, beef, pork, chicken, whatever. So yeah, that'll work too, to apply sauce. This thing is something that I really like. Let me get these out. I'll cover those in just a minute. This is a defatter, I guess, for lack of a better term. Basically, when I do ribs or anything that I have sitting in a pan, but what I do is when you cook something in a pan, the liquid that comes out obviously has a lot of fat in it. This, you can dump the liquid in with the plunger in. It will cause the fat to rise to the top, and then you just move the plunger and pour the liquid out until the fat gets right down there to the end. Stop, dump the fat out, and now you've got defatted liquid. Now, there is a way to do it. Just stick it in the fridge, let it get cold, and scrape the fat off the top. But this way you can have it done right then and there. So, highly recommend you look into one of those. You can get that on Amazon. Next thing, ye old bear claws. Whatever you want to call them. Bear claws, tiger claws, lion mitts, whatever. But basically, you can see it in action right here. You use it to shred pulled pork. I also used it to shred that shredded beef that I was talking about earlier, the Mississippi pot roast stuff. So you can shred it with that. Use these to shred it. Yeah, forks will work just as well, not gonna lie, but it's just cool to grab these and use them. Are they necessary? Not really, but it's cool. And after all, barbecue's all about being cool. Plus, you can act like you're Wolverine when you have them. So yeah, get a set of those, you won't regret it. Now, a couple of things I don't have here, but I'm gonna show you some footage of them in action, is get yourself a slicer. As you can see, this one right here, I use this when I get like bottom round or top round. I use this slicer to slice my top round or my bottom round into jerky slices. This one I usually set just under 2 or just over 2, depending on how thin or how thick I want my beef jerky. And I'll slice my jerky up and call it good. And yeah, so slicer. You can also, I've got a recipe or a thing I've read to slice a brisket, a Kansas City sliced brisket. You smoke the brisket to 180 instead of the normal 203, and then you pull it and slice it while it's still hot to paper thin slices. So I think it's called Kansas City sliced beef or something like that. I'm gonna try it one of these days, but that's why that slicer comes in handy. The other thing is a meat grinder. Going back to Cabela's one more time and talking about them, I've got this meat grinder from Cabela's. It has several attachments. I've got some sausage attachments where I can stuff pepperoni sticks. The other thing is it also has an attachment that you can buy where I can make thin, like jerky chunks. Not necessarily beef jerky thin, but like little strips of beef jerky. So it has that as well. So look into getting one of those as well, because it'll do you good. It's a good idea to have them handy. All right, so I'm standing outside my house out here by the grilling patio, just to put it as a backdrop, and I'm adding this on before the end of the video. I forgot to mention this during the video, that I also recommend you buy this vacuum pack Marinade tumbler. This that you can see on the screen right now, I use it to marinate the meat. You put the meat in there, you put your marinade in, you put the lid on, you vacuum pack it with the hose, and then you set it on the tumbler for up to 30 minutes, and it does a great job marinating whatever meat product you're trying to get marinated, get some flavor in there. It does a great job at that. The other thing is this vacuum sealer that I have. It's a food saver. Hear a lot of bad things about food saver. I've had this thing almost 3 years. It's never done me wrong, never steered me wrong, and it saved me a lot of time with using it on the meat products I cook. I could get the leftovers, vacuum pack them, and put them in the freezer and pull them out later for a quick meal in the aforementioned Instapot. So those are 2 more items I forgot. You can, like I said, this marinator I got off of Amazon. And then the food saver, my wife and my daughter, oldest daughter, bought for me 3 years ago, I think, at Christmas. So don't forget those, and we'll see you later. Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. And let me say this, by no means is this an exhaustive list. This is just some of the stuff that I use, and I'll probably do another one of these later as I find more more of my barbecue equipment laying around. Oh, I know what else I wanted to tell you. Jerky racks and jerky pans. If you're gonna make a lot of jerky, I have like 6 jerky racks, 2 different sets I bought that each came with 3. But get you some good jerky racks and jerky pans. You'll need those if you intend to make a lot of beef jerky. You can get those at Academy. You can get them online at Amazon, at Cabela's as well. Cheap. They're not that expensive. And don't use your wife's cookie sheets. I learned that lesson the hard way. Do not use the cookie sheets, okay? Buy your own for jerky. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe somewhere around here and ring that bell to get notifications of when we get new videos coming up. And as always, we hope you enjoyed watching Grillin' with RVH. I hope the stuff in the background wasn't too distracting. The pooper scooper, the boxes. Trust me, we don't use that for barbecue. Don't have to worry about that. But anyway, this has been Grillin' with RVH. Some of the tools I use. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you later.